meal, driving again to Target, and the other day we had a very nice chat. So I was like, let's have another one. So I had a nice day. I had another training. Today here is Friday, so I probably not gonna train over the weekend just because my daughter is out of school and I like to hang out with her when she's out of school. So today I got in like 2 hours and it was really nice. And oh, I got a new hat. It's a counterparty hat. These are made by Kane Mayfield, which is a dude that I met in Charleston at the PEP event, and grabbed one. They're very cool. I'm happy that he came. And today I wanted to talk about something that, because yesterday I took a decision, which is after 4 years, I want to say, because I started when I had my daughter. I decided that it was like I kind of like graduated, let's say, from therapy. And I wanted to talk it about a little bit because I feel like a lot of people still have like stigma about going to therapy and what therapy is. So I just wanted to talk about it a little bit. Hey, how are you doing? Thank you so much. Thank you, Holla Mark. I'll add you. I'm driving now, my friend, so I'll add you later. Going back to it, I just wanted to say that I feel like that, especially for men, there is still a lot of stigma. Does it look good? Yeah. There is still a lot of stigma around going to therapy, and I think it's like the dumbest thing ever, because I kind of want to talk about how it was for me. So I had my daughter, and I felt like, I don't know, I was working 80 hours a week, and I felt harder to connect with my wife after we had our first kid. I also stopped talking completely with my family because I was just like, oh, you guys are too crazy, and I just want to focus on, you know, my daughter that just came and my wife. So I was just like in overdrive, right? And I was wondering what I could do. Like, I feel like I needed to talk to someone, right? And there are things that, yes, you can talk to with your friends or your spouse, and that's ideally how it should be. But I feel like at times we all get entangled in things, and it's very helpful to. Oh, there is somebody with a car like mine, same color and everything. Hi. And it's easy to get entangled in like your own mind, right? Especially if you're kind of like of a person that tends to have 700 million thoughts a second, which is kind of like how I always been. Like, I'm a little bit ADHD or ADD, whatever the fuck is called. And so I was like, how I can do it, right? And it was pretty much around COVID, so it was kind of hard to go out and to go in an actual place. So I look for services that you could do online, right? And there is a lot of them. And I'm gonna tell you why I really like those, because it's very easy to make the time for them, right? And let's say that you have an hour where I don't know, you have your lunch or your kids are at school, or right after you get out of school. And so they're very easy to set up, and the nice thing is that you can text with your therapist, send messages and all that. Not that I did much of that, to be honest with you. I mostly just talk once a week, but it's much cheaper compared to doing therapy in person, right? And you can still find really good therapists. And I did some research, and the service that I ended up using is called BetterHelp, which is in the United States. I'm not entirely sure if it is also in abroad. Holla Mark, is there BetterHelp in your country? Look it up. But it's very cool because it's legit an app that you can install on your phone, and compared to what it costs to go to traditional therapy is like a fraction of it, right? so it's very affordable, and also a lot of insurance plans, if you're in the United States, they also cover it. Like, I specifically did it out of network just because I don't know, I just like that service, and I wanted to try it. And it starts where they ask you like a bunch of different questions about like how you're feeling, what are you feeling, what you would like to improve, did you ever try therapy, are you a religious person or are you spiritual. Like, they try to gauge a little bit your personality to match you with the best therapist. And even that is an interesting thing, because when I started, I put that I was spiritual, because 4 years ago, like, I believe that, you know, we are all connected, and there was something that kind of keeps us all together. But I did lose religion. Like, I grew up Catholic, but eventually I lose religion, a little bit because I was disillusioned with people, and especially because when my parents were divorcing, they're Italian. I was in Italy, so I have hiccups because I ate after working out. There is something called the Sacra Rota, and Sacra Rota is basically like a cord that the church still has, and has the authority to basically annul marriages, right? And what happened is that my father basically fabricated letters pretending that he wasn't sure to get married, that he wrote to this priest, that he wrote to a girlfriend of his saying, oh, I'm not sure getting married, but you know, the girl I'm with, which is my mother, got pregnant, and I don't know, I feel like it's the right thing to do, blah blah blah. So basically what he did is like he paid off this priest to kind of back his position, right? And this came out because my mother, who I guess in this case didn't give a fuck, called this lady and said, wait, this thing is coming out, is it true? And the lady said, no, this is not true. So it came out that basically he created all this evidence to try and get the marriage annulled, right? And I was like, man, that's so fucked up. Like, in the sense, I lost the godly element in the relationship with God because of humans. Because it's like, I was like, if a church is run by people like that, then it's not something I want to be associated with, right? But I'll get to that later, why that is not the case. And so I went into therapy, and my suggestion, if you decide to do it, is like, whatever therapist they match you with, give it a few sessions. Like, don't be right off the bat, oh, I don't like this person, or I like this person. Because in my case, I like my therapist right off the bat. Like, she was a very cool lady. She lives in Florida, I live in LA, and so the time kind of worked. And very experienced, like 40 years, and African American lady, which I also really like, and born in Georgia, very religious person, and I don't know, I really like her, right? And I did one session a week, and in the beginning, I want to say she just let me talk about all my bullshit and my, she was very patient. She never told me, oh, like, you're tripping. And she was listening and just asking questions, right? Which I really like. It's something that I also learned and incorporated in my life, rather than you know, expressing a judgment to someone. Just ask questions, ask a lot of questions, and I feel even just by asking questions, you can kind of let the other person think about what they said eventually, and that brings a change, which is very helpful even if you are a parent, right? Rather than telling your kid, oh, do this, do that, you just ask a question like, are you sure about that, or how you feel about that, all this kind of stuff, right? but always incredibly respectful and supportive and patient. And to be honest with you, I decided to kind of graduate myself from therapy and be like, oh, I feel good, even because I used to feel very self-conscious about myself and like doing something like what I'm doing right now. So like just like talking to people and you know, just like wearing my heart on my sleeve, I would say, talk about my emotions. And to be honest with you, like I feel like I'm a pretty tough person in the sense that I went through a lot of shit and I'm still standing and happy and whatnot, but I always felt like uncomfortable too much talking about myself or being my real self around other people. So I always kind of thought that I had to be or project this persona of how I should be, right? And to be honest with you, I feel like it's something that comes from the way we grew up, like the things that our parents put in our head, and the things that they led us to believe that we should be or how we should be, and all this kind of stuff. And so to be honest with you, now that I did all this process, I honestly feel like that is something that almost everyone should do by the time they're like, 16, 18, just because they save you so much time and so much headaches and so much errors, and you just get, I guess, in the place where I'm at almost 41, but much earlier, right? They kind of force you to confront with the bullshit that you tell yourself, and they don't really have too much merit. So it's very interesting. So in the beginning of the process, I was still working like 80 hours a week, right? So I was like always working, and to be honest with you, I was making a lot of money, but I was also incredibly miserable because I was using basically all my time for money, and oftentimes for things that didn't really respect who I felt deep down I was, right? I felt like a sellout in a way. Like I felt like I was playing a part to get this money, and I was playing along and whatnot. And I worked back then in media, so I was doing a lot of video editing and things of this kind. And to be honest with you, like is a word that I came to understand that I enjoy. Like I really enjoy like movies, I really enjoy commercials, I really enjoy video editing, animation, all this stuff, right? But what I don't enjoy and doesn't represent who I am is the climate of ideas that became so stagnant and politically correct and all cookie cutter, where everybody says the same things and everybody, put their profile picture with I don't know, the French flag or the Iranian flag, all this kind of bullshit. I'm like, what the fuck is this, And the sad truth that I didn't fully understand until when I came to LA is that unfortunately, if you don't adhere to that ideology, like you're gonna get canceled. You're gonna get canceled in the sense that they're not gonna hire you. They're not gonna hire you because they're gonna see you as the other side, as someone problematic, right? And I always thought that, in the end, what matters is the work, which is true, and that's how it should be. And in New York, when I was in New York, I got a lot of work done, and to be honest with you, I never really felt like too much the pressure or the necessity to completely marry to an ideology to be sure that I could work. Like I was sort of walking in between these two lines, and I felt always more like, let's say, Republican inclined, but I was like, wait, though, to be honest with you, I kind of felt like the need that I wanted to be popular, let's say. Popular in the sense that I wanted to prove to the people that kind of shut down on me growing up that I was worthy of attention and love and all this kind of stuff. So namely like my family, my father, my mom, all these people, and also all the people I grew up with, and that to be honest with you, like I wasn't like the most popular person in middle school or high school. In elementary school I wasn't doing bad, but middle and high school definitely I was like, you know, the weirdo. Like I was like hanging out with the rejects or the people smoking pot, all this kind of stuff. So never been too popular with ladies, and I think it was because I wasn't being my true self, right? I was suffering from this complex of not being fully liked by my parents, and this complex of having my parents not paying attention to me, and also growing up in a family who had a lot of money, and they always kind of use money as a substitute for love, right? And I was always living that thing like, oh, I don't really like them, but I should feel lucky because that's kind of like what they told me, right? Like, you should feel lucky because you were born in this family and you can do all these things and blah blah blah. But I always felt like not a real person, I want to say. And it's kind of messed up. Like, it's a not good way to live, because if you live that way, you kind of feel uncomfortable around all the people. And so when I came to the United States, I just started, you know, working. Even if I mean, first of all, I came to the United States because I wanted to kind of do my own thing and kind of, you know, pursue my interest in and the things that I'm interested by. And so I started working, and I feel like I started putting too much emphasis into just like making money, you know, like, so the way to kind of prove that they were wrong and I was doing well was working on these very cool projects and making a ton of money, and all this kind of bullshit. And therapy, when I started it, I was basically at the point that I was like, hey, I'm burning myself out, connected from my wife, like I just didn't, I felt disconnected from the world, let's say. And eventually, like, and most of the time I was talking with this woman, with my therapist, about all these projects that I was doing or I wanted to do. Like, I was kind of, you know, almost trying to convince her that there was nothing wrong with me, right? Which is kind of interesting if you think about it, in the sense that I was like, oh, I don't know why I feel like that, because like I'm lucky and blah blah blah, I am this, I am that. And the first thing that eventually she was like, why you don't try like to be around more people, right? And because the job that I did was remote. Like, after COVID, always remote, but before COVID it was mostly remote. But I was still one of those people that even before COVID oftentimes work remotely. We were able to work remotely. And so the first thing, you know, it was very hard for me to find an outlet, is like what I could do, you know. And she was like, why you don't try volunteering? And so I literally searched volunteer organization, Brooklyn, Hollywood, homeless, and I found this thing called Food on Foot, and I really feel like connected to the cause of homelessness. Once, because I feel like you know, I quote unquote feel a little bit homeless myself, at least when I started that process, in the sense that I felt like you know, I have nowhere to go back to, right? Because I still don't talk with my family, so I'm like, I don't have a place, right? Let's say a place to go back to. So, and also in LA you see a lot of homeless people. Like, it's like it's a crazy thing. Like, there is homeless people tents. There are areas of the city that are like some Mad Max shit with like look like a favelas in Brazil, like literally people living in cardboard boxes and tents, and then you see a lot of people talking to themselves, like acting crazy in the street, like with psychosis or things of that nature. And and so I was like, oh, let's try this. And I went and I started doing it, and to be honest with you, it felt a very safe space, in the sense that when you're in a situation where everyone is there either because they want to help, or they very humbly kind of like say, I need help, like either getting food or getting clothes or any sort of thing, you automatically know that is a safe space. Like the interactions that you have kind of take away that social anxiety that I had of having relations with people only because of work. Like I had a reason to be there, and I felt comfortable being there because I was there to help. And I was helping in the beginning, just like giving away food or toiletries or clothes, all these kind of things. And then eventually, gradually, I was like, hey, I really like you guys, I would like to help you and do more stuff. And I ended up like helping with their social media, right? So they kind of were using the skills that I have in terms of shooting video, editing video, to make content for them. And I was like, hey, we could do this, we could do that, and it was very nice and fun. And to be honest with you, at the same time, it was also when the strike started, all those strikes that we had in Hollywood. And so it became very hard for me to find work. And I think it was a little bit because of the strikes, but also because I was so burned out by working so many hours that I feel like I became like a little bit of an asshole, like very difficult to work with, kind of expecting everyone to work on my rhythms, working all the time and getting shit done, and I think that really didn't help my cause in the long run, because like even if you get the thing done, but people, and you get it done fast and well, but the people doesn't enjoy working with you, eventually they're gonna want to work with someone who is less problematic, right? You become a little bit of a fanatic, and I think that's what I was at that point in my life. So having this outlet of going there every Sunday and seeing the people who work there, or seeing the people in the line that was always the same, it was very nice, and I really, really enjoyed it, and it gave me a sense of community that, to be honest with you, I was lacking for probably most of my life. Like I never really felt too much part of a community, or an extended community, especially in a sense of wanting to do good. Like I had my group of friends, they were all like ragtag people, a little cray, but never something that was so outspokenly wired to do good to the community here in Hollywood. And it felt very nice. And to be honest with you, even there in the beginning, I was approaching it with that posturing of being a badass and all this kind of shit, and but they were very patient and very nice with me. And I think that's when I realized that I really like to do things for other people. That coupled with becoming a father, and I realized how much enjoyment it brings me taking care of my daughter and doing things for her, or doing things for my wife, or having patience with my wife, all this kind of stuff. I was like, wait, I really like serving, right? And so that was very enlightening. And I also started like a bunch of other random jobs, because not having jobs in media, I started doing Uber, delivering food, doing like a tour guide. I work making food with a friend of mine at this event, like how you call it, like an expo that they have here in LA. Like doing all these different things really kind of brought me to feel that I like working around people more than I like working with a computer, just with a computer. And so like the next step was that eventually I landed this job at Target, right? And where I'm going now. And the job at Target, in the beginning I was like, hey, let me try it, like who knows, like I need the money, right? Because I'm very good at saving and putting money on the side, but I was starting to run low on funds, which also of course put a lot of strain on my marriage, because Whether we like it or not, money is a very hot button element in a relationship, in the sense, when someone start either making less money or loses their job, there is always some sort of adjustment that needs to happen, right? And to be honest with you, maybe because I grew up around it, like the times that my wife lost her job, I was always like, don't worry, we're gonna figure it out. Like I always had very clear the fact that, you know, families are made by love, not by money. And money is helpful, you know, to have a roof over your head or to pay your bills, but having more money, it doesn't equate to having more happiness, to be honest with you. Like what makes you happy on a mental level is just having shelter, food, and love, having loved ones, having a companion, having a kid, having a relationship with your family, like all these kind of things. So instead, for my wife, it was hard because she grew up in a different situation, and she grew up like in a family where money was always like a struggle. So I think she freaked out a little bit. She was like, hey, this guy was making a bunch of money and now he's not making as much, right? And so being in therapy really helped me navigate through this, because and also, to be honest with you, in the beginning I had the feeling like, what the fuck, I'm 40 and I was making like all this money, and now I'm here, you know, fixing shelves or folding clothes. Like, what the fuck am I doing with my life? And then eventually, you know, as I kept doing it, I realized how much more I actually like being around people, like, you know, chatting with the customers, selling them things, learning about the things, and also the relationship with my co-workers, because they are all very young, most of them, and is also nice, like, you know, having all these different generations that kind of work together and from different nationalities. And I started enjoying it so much because I started seeing it almost as, you know, an extension of the volunteering that I was doing. Like if you approach any job as, you know, how I can make somebody's day better, how I can make somebody have a good experience, how I can make somebody leave this place with a smile, you feel so good. You feel so good, and you really enjoy your days, because you kind of look forward to the interactions you're gonna have, and it almost doesn't feel like work, because, you know, like I covered this before, but jobs in retail or jobs in service business, like you get, you know, the random client that treats you like shit, but or like treat you as a less because you do that job. But that's actually very empowering, because if you choose to respond to that with the attitude of you know what, like I'm gonna be nice no matter what, you feel so good and so strong and so powerful. So it's actually a very, very powerful thing and a very cool thing. And so that, you know, the talking with this woman every week, like the same way that I'm doing with you now, kind of helped me navigate all my feelings and all these things. And at the same time, I also started going to my first events, because I was like, hey, I like volunteering and I like being around people, so it's not true that I don't like being around people. Let me go to events where I can meet people who is interested in the thing that I'm interested as well, right? And as you know, I'm really into like Web3, blockchain, and all this kind of stuff, and the web in general. So I started to go into all these events related to the blockchain. Like I went to some events at USC. I went to this event in a space that is here in Hollywood. Like I started going to all of them, and I met so many people, and I made so many friends with whom I could finally talk about the things I was interested in the way that I was interested in, right? I didn't have to pretend to be in a way so that people would like me in my job circle related to media. And I slowly but surely started to find my place in the world, right? So the things that I like, and feeling more comfortable saying the things I think, which is also why we're having this conversation today. That I finally feel comfortable enough to talk about how I feel about things and of my weaknesses and my shortcomings. And it's something that I wasn't really able to do before. Like I was always posturing this thing that, everything is okay, I'm a badass, I can figure everything out, I have it all figured out. Which is bullshit, because no one really has everything figured out. And if you start to feel like you have everything figured out, it's because you're probably telling yourself some bullshit. And so it was like this process really helped me to come out of my shell and talk more to people, and become a better communicator also with my wife, because I started to listen more and be less set in my ways, and more just like open to try things, and also admit to myself that I was lacking in certain regards and I could improve. And because like at times we have the illusion that if we have success from a professional standpoint or economically, we have it all figured out, right? But it's not really the case. Like we might just be workaholics, which in my case I think that's what it was. Like I was a little bit of a workaholic. Like I was supplying to my inability to socialize by working all the time and telling myself, I don't have time for all that because I'm laser focused on work and all this kind of stuff. And it's not a good way to live. Like it's not a good way to live, and it's not something also that is sustainable. Like eventually you're gonna burn yourself out. And I was reading not long ago that most people burn themselves out by the time they're 40, and that kind of corresponds to my experience, in the sense that it happened maybe a couple of years earlier, because I was working like so much, and I never had time to do anything. Like I remember one day for my birthday when we were still in New York, I took the day off, miracle, and I went to a park with my wife and we just chill, and then I went to have some food at a restaurant and a steak, and I remember thinking, wow, I wish I could do this more often, right? And I realized that I never took a day off, like even the weekends, for 3 years. And that's wild, right? 3 years. Because you really don't enjoy anything. Like yes, you might have a lot of money and you might work on some really cool stuff, but if you don't have the time to take a day where you just don't do nothing, or cultivate friendships with people, or cultivate your hobbies, or learn about something. Like I feel like everything was always in relation to work. Like I was learning stuff all the time, but always in relation to work. While if you free yourself from the this need to always be on and always be productive, you become overall a much better human being, because you learn a lot more about different things. And if you learn about different things, you develop different parts of your personality, not just things that are related to work. And so this whole process that I did with Dr. Higgins, it was really cool, because it kind of made me feel free eventually, free to say what I want, free to do what I want, and I gained so much time. And I say that because if you stop telling yourself that you always need to be on and you always need to be productive, you actually start living. And you start living by finding the time to today I want to go see a movie, or today I want to learn about martial arts, or today I want to try coding, right? And it's very important for you to find these times, because these are the times where you actually improve as a human being and get closer to what it is that you want, or you want to be. And another thing that I rediscover through this process, like I was mentioning in the beginning, is religion. Because I was just like, hey, it was actually, I think, like I talk also with an old boss of mine, and he was like, oh, you should read this book. And he gave me a book to read about basically how religion and art go hand in hand, and by looking at the artistic production of a certain period of time, and how pretty or refined, let's say, it looks like, you can kind of gauge of where morally the time is. And if you look at now, like, it's kind of all over the place, like, and messed up, and being fully able to eventually re-embrace religion, because what I understood is that, wait, as I was reading the Bible, there is so many cool things here, and so many, even if you take it just like in a very basic level of the books like Proverbs or Psalms, that are more almost like a collection of thoughts or suggestions or aphorism, you realize that there is a lot of wiseness in there, right? There is a lot of wiseness, and you start incorporating these things into your life that make you live really well, and eventually it kind of rekindles your faith through reading the Word. It rekindles your faith, and if you're able to rekindle your faith, you became sort of invincible. You become invincible because the idea that we are all made in the image of God, right? So Imago Dei, kinda takes away all the stress that you might feel because you feel the need to do I don't know what to justify you feeling good about yourself, right? So you don't need to do anything, in the sense you are already special as you are. You are special as you are because you are made in the image of God, and all you have to do really is to choose to uplift other people and be nice to other people and do things for other people, and that automatically is gonna make you feel part of something greater. You're gonna feel good about yourself, you're gonna feel at ease around other people, and they are all concepts that really you cannot grasp if you don't fully get into the idea of how everything is connected, because everything is created by God, right? And a thing that also really helped me was that I tried, because the brother of my sister invited us to his church, and I was like, oh, they're having like a Bible group, and it's not a Catholic church, but still I was like, hey, they are Christian in some form, I can hang out and I guess learn stuff. And also I'm very curious about other religions. I always read things about religion, and so they were like, oh, we are having a Bible group, and I was like, okay, I'll do it. And the thing that I learned there that is the most important is a method called SOAP, which means scripture, observation, action, prayer. So what you do is that basically you read each day a chapter of the Bible, and in this chapter you find a passage that you like, so scripture, and you write down this passage. And then you have O for observation. You write your observation, like what this made you think of. And then A, action. So how can you put this into action into your own life? And P, prayer. You write a prayer for yourself and your loved ones and anybody you want in relation to this passage. And this kind of gave me the key to, keep and learning about the Bible and studying it a little bit each and every day. And eventually this really helped me so much. Like, it really helped me in taking away my anxiety, taking away my burnout and my sense of, meaninglessness almost, because I was like, wait, is life all about making money and jobs? Like, what the fuck? Like, no, like life is really about the things that we do for other people. So it's like therapy kind of kick-started this process where eventually I was able to rediscover religion and get back closer to a lot of things that were part of my personality, and I kind of put to the side because I was too busy for them, but in a very dumb way, right? So what I really recommend is to start this process, because it's never too late, right? For me, the time was that I felt very overwhelmed was after our daughter was born, but maybe you don't need to wait until then, right? Like for example, my daughter, I would like her to go through this process of going to therapy maybe when she's 16, 17, just because I feel like if I did it back then, I probably wouldn't have done a lot of stupid shit that I did in my life, and I probably wouldn't have wasted, time. I guess wasted time is not the right word, because all the roads lead to Rome in the end, but I guess it would have made the process of being a human being and growing up more seamless and less painful and less complicated overall. So yes, I really highly recommend it, and I also really highly recommend you to give a shot at religion. Like pick up a Bible, maybe start from the something easy, again, like Proverbs or Psalms, and just read it, and you're gonna find that there are things that resonate with you, absolutely, because if something persisted through time so much, is because there is something good in it. So let's say that you start as a non-believer, you're still gonna have to recognize that if this book has been studied and passed down for so many generations, there's gotta be some good in it, right? And especially now that you have ChatGPT and LLMs or any sort of model that you can use very cheaply, you kind of get over that language barrier, because the same way that you can use LLMs to help you code, even if you don't fully know coding, you can use ChatGPT to make in contemporary English the Bible and chapters and passages, or if you don't understand something, you can ask questions. And this really helps you to connect with it in a more clear and organic way, right? So it's good to be part of a church and be around other people and connect with people on a level where you can kind of talk about things and be sure of how you feel about certain things, and be part of a community, right? Have friends to rely on, talk to each other, like I'm having this issue, I'm having this other one. So I'm not saying that there is really a substitute from that, but the way to want to be part of something like that on your own is probably by starting to study the word on your own. At least that was for me. And because I probably wouldn't have been responsive to, hey, come to church, all this kind of stuff, if I didn't already have the bug in it that I wanted to know more about it. And my suggestion overall is just try things, if you go to therapy, it doesn't make you weak. If you go to church, it doesn't make you a dumb person. Like, it's completely fine to be curious about things. It's completely fine to want to learn about things, and it's completely fine to approach things without knowing about them, because I feel like a lot of times we almost are too harsh with ourselves, of like, I don't know, what do I really know about it, is that really part of myself? And my suggestion is just try, because now that I'm almost 41, the thing that I came to realize is that unfortunately we never really fully know what is that we actually need, right? And that's incredibly scary, because like we always think, like I used to think, oh, I need to, if I just get that job, I'm gonna be so happy and realize, or if I just get to do that thing, I'm gonna be so sad. While it's never the case. It's never the case, and you always feel more empty than when you started. So the only way really to discover who you are is to be open to try different things, and then ask yourself, how does this makes me feel, right? How does this makes me feel? and you're gonna discover that the things that actually make you feel good are not the things that you expected, which is crazy. And for me, like, the way to reconnect with other people was to serve them, to do things for them, right? Whether it's giving them food on a line on Sunday, or here at Target, like selling them whatever they want, and kind of make somebody's day, make them laugh while I'm doing. And I really enjoy it. And also there is something incredibly nice about being nice to strangers, right? Being nice to strangers, whether in real life or in the internet. So if you choose to use the internet instead of something where you kind of shit on people because you're kind of mocking, kind of being a mocker kind of thing, or a troll, to use a more contemporary term, you choose instead to say nice things to people, you're gonna find yourself incredibly powerful. And all this rediscovery and all these things really brought me back also into the fold of media, because as I started all this change about myself, I started landing again a lot of jobs even in media. And the ones that I like the most is like these podcasts that I'm helping with about AI in education. And also I started doing videos for this company that work in defense. So like I made this video for the Marines with a lot of AI that I really love. I did a video about autonomous drones. And I feel like automatically by, expressing yourself and your ideas, you end up attracting things and attracting people, right? Another thing that was really instrumental to me was like just trying, and I was like, I kind of like the idea of drawing, so I went to this event and I stopped drawing for like, I don't know, I was drawing when I was maybe 14, and I stopped for a very long time, and I think because my parents kind of like weren't seeing it as something important, and the same also goes for gaming that I recently discovered. So I kind of wanted to, impress my parents in a way, as well. And was the Pepe community, like going to the Pepe event in Charleston made me realize that there was a lot of people like me that didn't really give a fuck and just said what they wanted to say, and they didn't feel uncomfortable about who they were. And the nicest thing about the Pepe community is that you really realize that you don't need to do anything perfect, like just make things. You can just make things, right? You can draw this frog in any fucking way you want, and it can be horrible, and it's just the fact that you sit down and you're doing something and you're doing the exercise, and you're gonna discover that it kind of becomes a very common theme, right? And the same way, I think I said this before, that artists in the Middle Ages or throughout the years kind of use history as a theme to express their techniques and their way of doing things. The same is true also of the Pepe community. Like you're gonna find that Pepe kind of became a central theme to so many different ways to express yourself, right? So it can be something very destructive or negative, or it can be something incredibly uplifting. And there is also all these things of, writing GM, good morning to people every day and showing the art that you made. Like you're gonna realize that you're gonna have made this network of people that you make and create things with, and you're gonna feel incredibly good about it, because like the whole point is to do things for other people, right? And share them with other people, and you can put so much thought and stimulate thought in people, even with very simple things. And memes are incredible at that, because memes are basically the best form of compression of information, because they can be so jam-packed and express very complex concept while retaining this very simple form, right, of being an image with some text slapped on it, and is incredibly powerful. So overall, I feel like my suggestion would be to just try to do things, try therapy, try to draw, and you don't have to be good. And if you keep at it and you do it every day, because the key in everything is to be constant. So don't do things once. stick with them. Like even now that I started boxing, like I gotta be honest with you, the first week it felt amazing all the time. Now I'm at the end of a certain week and there were days that I couldn't even eat because I couldn't bring the fork to my mouth for how much my arms hurt. But I stick through it, right? I kept doing it. And by keeping doing something, by the act of not giving up, you actually learn. Because you really learn on the days where you wouldn't feel like doing something and you still do it. And that's, you know, why somebody like Beeple is inspiring, because he during this event he created a piece of art in 15 minutes in front of everyone, and he does this series called Every Day, where every day he makes a piece of art. And what I took from it is that you really don't need much time, right? You need to just want to do something, and it's gonna happen. So you just need to really force yourself and sit down and put in a little bit of work every day. So whether it's, you know, reading the Bible or learning a language, learning a martial art or a sport, just do a little bit of it every day. And it really compounds, because even if you do 10 minutes a day, that's 70 minutes a week, it becomes more than 4 hours, 5 hours a month, and you're gonna become good. You're gonna become good, and you know, maybe you're not gonna become the best of that specific thing, but you're gonna become good, and you're gonna be able to do it. And you don't really know your full potential until when you try to do these things. So just try and put yourself out there, and don't be scared to be who you are. Don't be scared to say the things you want to say. Nobody's perfect. Guess what? No one is perfect, but everyone has a place, because we are all made in the image of God again. So yeah, that was my 2 cents for today. Have a good one.